The Philippines is meanwhile reporting its first case of Mpox this year from a person with no recent travel outside of the country. The World Health Organization declared the virus a global public health emergency just last week. Joining us now for more, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, former FDA Commissioner, a CNBC contributor. He also serves on the boards of Pfizer and Illumina. Welcome to you. Can you kind of back us up for a second? We've heard of monkeypox. Mpox, is that just renamed? It's been around for how long? And what is the significance of this latest country where it's been found?
Right. There's two different strains of monkeypox, Mpox, that spread in Africa that are endemic to Africa. So in West Africa, we see what we call clade 2, which was the strain that circulated in 2022 and caused the global pandemic and the cases that we saw here in the U.S. What's spreading right now is the different strain, what we call clade 1. That's typically endemic to Central Africa. It's spreading primarily in the DRC, in the Congo right now. There have been 14,000 reported cases, probably vastly understated because they don't have a lot of testing in place, about 500 deaths. The concern is that there's a new variant of this clade 1 strain. So it's called clade 1b right now, and people think it may be spreading more easily through casual contact. And what sort of buttresses that is that 70% of the cases have been in children. About 85% of the deaths, so there's been about 500 deaths, have also been in children inside the Congo. So you start to think, typically we think that this clade 1 strain spreads primarily through zoonotic spread, through contact with animals. You start to think it's spreading more through casual contact now, household contact, when you see so many children infected. And that's the concern right now.
And what happened in 2022 when we started seeing cases that it appeared to be spreading more easily through contact and whatnot?
Yeah, the cases, so the clade 2 typically has been through sexual transmission spread within social networks. That's what we saw here in the U.S. It got into the gay and bisexual community, spread largely within that community. This strain potentially is more contagious through casual contact. So it's not airborne, it's spreading through contact. But the question is it spreading more easily through contact? A lot of the cases probably with children in the DRC are household contact, also spread within institutions inside hospitals and healthcare facilities that are overcrowded. But you worry about what would happen if it got into an institutional setting. Would it spread more easily?
How dangerous is it? Because you mentioned the deaths with children and so forth, but that also a lot of these were spreading in hospitals where presumably people were already potentially quite sick. They maybe don't have the same kind of healthcare in general. How dangerous is it, do you think, to people in general?
So historically, clade 1 has been more deadly than clade 2. So clade 2, the death rate has been historically around 1%. With the clade 1, it's been historically 3 to 4%. Those are statistics that encompass the world. So that's what we see typically in Africa. And in a region with better healthcare system, the death rate should be substantially less. And the death rate with clade 2 when it got into the U.S. was substantially less. So it's still very concerning. The other issue here is that the pox that you get with this new variant aren't as prevalent. They're not as pronounced as you see with clade 2. Well, they're typically in the genital region, right? So they're not on the hands and the feet. So people may have it and not recognize it as easily as they would with the old variant.
Is there anything that can be done?
Well, vaccination, there's oral antivirals that can be taken. That can certainly reduce the symptoms and the risk of sequelae. Also, vaccination. The vaccine's about 80% effective if you get 2 doses. Higher than that, about 79% if Jynneos by Bavarian Nordic. And they should have enough doses for the U.S. It's still hard to get the vaccine into Africa right now.
80%. Well,
more than that. It's about 89%.
I was just going to, as an aside, what were those COVID? What was that, about 40%? It's in hindsight, it's really weird to look at that. I think Fauci's had it 3 times or something. But that's neither.
Well,
let's go to Medicare. These prices, is it really 22% price control in the Inflation Reduction Act? The Medicare, we're going to hear a lot of talk about that, a lot of how great it is.
So the net savings is substantially less than 22%. The 22% net savings that they claim they're getting on these 10 drugs is based on 2023 prices. By the time these price controls actually go into effect in 2026, there would have been substantial erosion in the pricing just naturally. So you get to a net reduction that's substantially less than 22%. And for some of these drugs that already had heavy discounts in place, probably the average net reduction right now based on the 2023 prices is like 10%. And by 2026, it would go away. So what I'm saying is there's some drugs on this list that the discount that they extract is no different than where the discount would have been in 2026. I think pharmaceutical executives are reluctant to say that.
Say anything.
Well, because they want people to think that they got a hit when they didn't.
But on top of this, in terms of deficit reduction and everything else from the Inflation Reduction Act, there's something. They're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul on Medicare Part D. How much money?
Right. So they're buying down what would have been a premium increase in the Part D drug benefit this year that costs about $5 billion. They didn't want that premium increase in an election year. So everything they've done have raised premiums in Part D. They're offsetting with a subsidy. So any savings that they get from these price controls when they do go into effect in 2026, the year one savings will go to pay for that subsidy and some.
Think we'll hear that at the DNC, Pat?
No, I don't think we're going to hear them talk about that too much.
Is it true that... go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
I was just going to say what they care about is the net out-of-pocket cost for the people they're trying to save money, right? I mean, they're not saying this is going to be a deficit reduction measure as much.
But that hasn't gone down either because the way to bring down... So they did pay down out-of-pocket costs. That's true. The new restructuring of the Medicare drug benefit substantially lowers out-of-pocket costs. But the problem is if you're bringing down the net price and not the list price, people in the private market pay copays based on the list price. So this law is actually going to incentivize drug makers to launch at higher list price because they know there's going to be mandatory discounting. And people who are underinsured or uninsured are paying copays and out-of-pocket costs in that list price. So that's really the problem.
That also is a tough thing for drug companies to say, right? Well, we kind of have this arbitrary initial list price that we set because we know it's going to get discounted along the way, and the PBMs get their. So I just think is your takeaway that it's just basically impossible to kind of go after net drug costs in an effective way, or is it it just takes care of itself?
Well, look, I think net drug costs have come down if you look at in the last couple of years, and list price has come down. I think the problem is that gross to net spread, so the spread between a list price and a net price, because people go into the pharmacy, and if they're underinsured or uninsured, they pay the list price or they pay a copay based on that, and the employer, whoever's providing the coverage, the government, is getting a much lower net price. Really what should happen is the net price should be the list price. You should have true pricing in the marketplace. Companies like CVS and others are trying to push in that direction, but we've kind of created this Byzantine system and we can't get out of it.